Hello and welcome everyone to the first ever edition of the Difference Podcast. I'm Dave Fegley. I'll be running this show, and right now in our inaugural episode, we are talking high school football in central Pennsylvania. Right now I'm shooting this high above Tiger Stadium in the press box, home of the Southern Columbia Tigers, 8-time state champions, including the returning state champions at the AA level. I'll have two of the Tigers' best players, all state players, joining me here in a minute. First of all, this podcast is being brought to you by Dave Squared's Screen Printing and Embroidery. So, getting to it, it's hard to believe we're already into week one almost of the high school football season for the year 2018. Going to talk today about the PHAC, Heartland Conference. There's been some shifts in terms of divisions. Division 1 of the Heartland Conference this year will contain Central Mountain, Shikellamy, Selinsgrove, Jersey Shore, Shamokin, and Lewisburg. Selinsgrove obviously was the district champ last year and made a nice run in the state playoffs. Division 2, pretty much wide open this year. Teams are Danville, Loyalsock, Mifflinburg, Milton, Montoursville, and Warrior Run. Division 3, a lot of local rivalries. Bloomsburg, Central Columbia, Hughesville, Mount Carmel area, South Williamsport, and the odds-on favorite to win and be the top team in all of the Heartland Conference are the state's #1 ranked Southern Columbia Tigers. Before we get into our interviews, Week 1, each week I'm going to bring you some predictions. I'll get into some college and NFL predictions as those seasons progress. Obviously the first week, all we have is Friday Night Lights. So I'm going to do 10 high school games each week for now, and then we'll adjust as the college and NFL season come upon us. First game, Selinsgrove at Lewisburg. Selinsgrove loses a lot from last year's team. Lewisburg returns the bulk of their team. I'm going with the Green Dragons to beat Selinsgrove in a bit of an upset at home. Next one on the list, Central Mountain versus Williamsport. Williamsport gets their star back, Trayson Potts, headed to Minnesota next year. He's a senior running back. He missed all of last season with a torn ACL. He's back. Williamsport should be very solid this year. They're going to beat Central Mountain in a rout. Probably the most intriguing matchup in week 1 is the Central Columbia Blue Jays heading over to the Silver Bowl to take on the Mount Carmel area Red Tornadoes. I'm going with the Red Tornadoes to win that one. Next one, South Williamsport at Montgomery. South Williamsport loses a lot of players, but I'm still picking the Mountaineers to defeat Montgomery on the road. Hughesville at Mifflinburg. Both teams struggled mightily last season. However, I think Hughesville's younger class returns more talent at the skill position levels, so I'm going with the Spartans to defeat Mifflinburg. Shamokin at Milton. Obviously, a lot of you Tiger fans know, and obviously Shamokin as well. New head coach at Shamokin, it's the Hynoski era, former Southern Columbia All-State fullback, college starter at Pittsburgh, and NFL Super Bowl champion as the starting fullback for the New York Giants, takes over a Shamokin program that has struggled, to say the least, over the last couple of years. A lot of excitement over in Shamokin. I'm taking Shamokin to win at Milton in week 1. Danville at Shikellamy. Interesting matchup there. I'm going with the Ironmen. That could go either way, though. Midwest at Marian Catholic. Midwest. First season of high school football. Obviously, they're a bigger school than Marian Catholic, but coming out and doing your first of anything job, obviously there's a lot of learning curves along the way, so I'm going with the Marian Catholic Colts to defeat the Midwest Mustangs. Abington Heights at Berwick. Important regular season matchup to start off the season. I'm going with the Bulldogs at home. And finally, Bloomsburg at Southern Columbia. Tigers are going to win that one in a rout. So, joining me for the first ever Difference Podcast, High School Football Edition, I have on my left, Gaige And also a two-time All-Stater, linebacker Cal Haladay. Both of these guys are juniors. They've been keys to the program the last 2 seasons and will continue to be over the next 2 years as well. Both of them are on pace to do some serious damage in the record books at Southern Columbia, which is obviously a huge honor. Okay, thank you for both joining me.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Start with Gaige. Speaking of record breaking, a lot of people know that Henry Hynoski, as I mentioned, he's certainly at the top of the Tigers rushing list as of now, but coming on strong, barring any injuries, Gaige Garcia will be the new head in 2 years. Gaige has to average a little over 1,450 yards each of the next 2 years, which he's done easily the last 2 years, and he'll have the school record. A lot of people don't know this, but a little bit over 2,400 yards over the next 2 years, which is obviously a monumental task to keep that pace up. He'll set the state record. Gaige, obviously records, I know you're more of a team-oriented guy. Are the records important? Do they motivate you at all? Or what's your whole outlook of knowing? Obviously, I know you know that the records are out there. You don't have to hide that. Just take me through, obviously, for one, having the chance to do it, and two, being given this opportunity at a school like Southern Columbia.
You know, coming into my freshman year, I never thought I would be even close to coming to the state record or even being the top with it. And it's something I think about a lot. I'm thinking it's on my bucket list to get the school record and then hopefully the state record. And just have my names up to like people like Jerry Marks, Henry Hynoski, Rico Rossini, and the list goes on with the caliber of backs that Southern Columbia had. And just being able to have my name maybe at the top of it is just an honor. So.
And you're right about that. I mean, Southern Columbia's Mount Rushmore of running backs is as good, if not the best, of any in the state, and certainly up there in the country for public schools. Okay, Cal. Last year's Southern defense, anybody can argue back and forth who's the best Southern defense of all time, but statistically, last year's rush defense was the best of all time. Southern Columbia only gave up a school record of 58 yards per game rushing, and even more impressively, that's with the starters only playing for sometimes a quarter and a half to 2 quarters. Can this defense be just as good or even better?
We lost a lot of good defensive players last year, and there's a lot of new faces filling in for them, and they will be a great part of our team. And with all the returning starters, we have the potential to be just as good or even better than what we were last year.
And I mean, like I said, to be even better, that's going to be something fun to watch. Okay, another school record last year, Southern Columbia's offense and defense, because Cal sitting by me here had some scoring to do with that as well, with a pick 6, an important one in the Seal and Trove win last year, and obviously kicking. So all 3 phases, but the offense scores the majority of the points, obviously. Southern's offense last year scored 815 points, and that was the 3rd most points in Pennsylvania high school football history. Gaige, obviously you have yourself, Julian Fleming, a top-ranked recruit in the country, returning veteran headed to Alabama, and Stone Hollenbach as the quarterback. You have linemen returning. How good can this offense be in 2018?
You know, the sky's the limit. We kind of got to keep our head on our shoulders, not get overconfident. With the points, we're not too concerned about how many points we score. Coach Rothy's very respectful. He doesn't like to run the points up on teams. So, you know, that's all in his hands. We don't really care about that record as much.
Good team approach there, and he's right about that. I can say witnessing every Southern game since 1997, it's one thing the coaching staff at Southern does not do is try and show up the opponents, because I know for a fact last year's team could have easily scored 1,000 points if they would have left the starters in for another quarter a game. Okay, Cal, you were the leading tackler last season with 109. Second on the team was also another tremendous junior in Max Tillett. He moves from the from the outside linebacker spot to fill the void of Anthony Chicatano, who graduated as an inside linebacker. How does Max moving to the inside change the mentality of the defense? Obviously, you have Nate Corral coming in to fill in as one of the outside linebackers to go along with returning starter Preston Zachman. What's the mentality of the defense this year?
Not much change. We're just trying to stop everyone that we can as fast as we can.
Yep.
He's gonna be a big role player moving from outside to in. He'll be able to go both sides of the ball.
And Max missed a little bit of time last season with a broken hand. He finished it off with a club on his arm, obviously, as they call, wrapped up. So looking to see a lot of good things out of him as well. Gaige, obviously, for those that aren't familiar, and if you're going to be listening, we cover myself and Phil Manny cover every Tigers game for the Black Diamond Sports Network, so you can listen in every single Friday night from everywhere in the world. This year, if you're a listener, you're going to be a little confused potentially, because we're going to be saying Garcia a lot more even than we did last year. Gaige is a junior. His freshman brother comes into the program having an outstanding career at the junior high level. What's it going to be like playing on the opposite side of your brother Gavin?
It's going to be pretty cool. It's always a competition with him, and especially it's going to be on Friday nights, but I'm looking out for him. He's got my back, I got his back, and we're just looking to do big things together. So.
And you listening right now, we're going to do the best we can to, anytime either of them have the ball, we're going to make sure to list their first name, because although they share the same name, their game's a little different. Gaige is more of a physical, downhill type runner, where Gavin might be using more of his speed and shiftiness in the open field. Okay, Cal, talked about Gaige being record-breaking. You're actually even closer in terms of your progression the last 2 years as a linebacker. You set a school record with over 150 as a freshman. You're only 61 tackles away this season. You have 2 more years left from breaking the school record for tackles. What does that mean to you?
It means a lot. It'll be a great achievement to be the tackle leader. But if we don't have the same outcome as last year, it won't mean near as much as if we did get that state championship.
So a state championship with taking that record obviously puts the icing on the cake for you. The record holder currently is Rico Rosini with 320 tackles. A lot of people know him as being one of the star running backs at Southern Columbia back in the late 90s, but a lot of people don't know, is the all-time leading tackler, and Cal Haladay and actually Max Tillett is on pace to finish second all time. So that's another neat thing to say. You have arguably Gaige leading rusher, Julian leading receiver. Cal and Max could be the leading tacklers in school history, all from the same class of 2020. Gaige, for those that don't know, obviously people that were at the scrimmage, take me through kind of your offense, the way it's looking to shape out this year in terms of personnel.
Where do I start? I'll start with Stone. Just recently committed to Alabama. He's got an arm. He's very good with picking targets and throwing it on the dart. So it's just anything with him and Julian. That connection is insane. Julian, can't say enough good things about him. I mean, he's crazy. He's a crazy athlete. He can go anywhere he wants in the country. Got another good receiver, Preston Zachman.
Yes.
He's definitely been shaping out to be really good. On any other team, he'd be a standout for sure.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. We were talking about that in our preseason meeting. I said Preston's the #1 team on 95 to 99% of the schools around the state.
Yeah, when you're behind a 5-star recruit, you can't show off as much, but he's doing a good job of showing his talents. For the backfield, we got Tyrod Arnold and my brother. They're young, but they're dangerous. They're kind of like superheroes who don't use their powers the right way yet. They're just learning, and once when they fully develop in this position, they'll be pretty scary. So.
And then offensive line, obviously, there's still some question. I mean, you have guys that are certainly capable, but just kind of feeding in. You have 3 returning starters, and then the 2 other positions are up for grabs.
You know, the offensive line, that's definitely the most important part of the game for offense, but I treat them well. I mean, I take them out to eat and stuff when I got 1,000 yards, and they mean a lot to me. And this year, they're starting out a little bumpy, but they're going to be shaping up in time, and they're hard workers, and they're going to be able to get the task done on Friday. So, they're pretty good.
And with the replacement of 2 offensive linemen, you're obviously replacing your tight ends as well. So anybody that knows the Southern Columbia offensive scheme, a tight end's more of a blocker than a receiver for sure in the Southern Columbia's wing T offense. Ask you the same question on the other side of the ball, Cal. Take me through the defense.
Well, we got a lot of athletes: Preston, Max, Nate, Jules, Cade, and Shane Miller. Probably, they're all playmakers and are capable of doing big things. Our D line is looking like it's going to be pretty impressive. Big physical kids with Shank and Robert Williams as the D tackles, and Peyton Purcell and Lear Quinton as our D ends.
And then you could have other guys shifting in, like your brother, Troy Donlin if needed. Whole bunch of guys that can fill in. But the strength of your defense is certainly your linebackers. How important is it for you guys with how athletic you guys are? Obviously, you're not the prototypical meathead linebackers of you guys obviously are strong, but you use your speed so well.
Yeah, we use our speed. Also, we watch a lot of film, and so we already have a good idea of what's happening before that we go into the game to even help us more than just being smaller but faster.
Right. Okay. Gaige, obviously you've had a heck of a lot of success with a whole bunch of them. What's your favorite running play to run for you when you're getting the ball? I know you can block.
I can't really pick whatever I really score on, but if I had to go to a go-to, it'd definitely be a 121 sweep. That's the first play we run in practice. It's the first play we run right before a game. It just always seems to be a go-to, and the blocking scheme on it I really like. I enjoy the pulling guard, and it's just an overall good play that I had luck with in the past. So.
Yeah, 121 and 929 to the opposite side are two staples in this Southern Columbia high-powered offense through the wing T. Cal, you're, as I mentioned, tackle leader. You're going to be up there, if not at the top at your graduation time, obviously, in terms of sacking the quarterback. What's your favorite blitz called?
Probably a 23 cross. It's just simple. The D tackles go in and we go outside, and it's usually open because they take up most of the line.
And what are you referring to with the 2-3? Obviously, you have your both inside linebackers coming in with you and Max coming in, combined 225 tackles, roughly. From last year, it's going to scare a lot of quarterbacks, obviously. Now, kind of a wrinkle in the show here. Both of these young men are high IQs and up there in their class ranks. For as good athletes they are, they're just as good as students, and they understand the importance of that. So, in honor of the Tigers' 8 state championships, I'm going to ask each one of these fellas 8 different questions, a variety of trivia questions, and we're going to see who's the first ever Different Sports Podcast trivia champion. So, who wants to go first?
I'll go.
All right, Gaige is going first. Gaige, what is the world's longest river?
Susquehanna, no. I feel Amazon?
Yeah, he's right.
Nah.
You're 1 for 1. Good job. Your brother saw the questions and he didn't think you guys would get any right, so right there he's wrong.
Jeez.
Okay, 1-0 Gaige. Cal, can you answer? What's the capital city of Spain?
Spain.
Jeez.
I can tell you. No, I have no clue.
Just guess or don't even know.
I wouldn't even.
All right, that was a tough, maybe a little tougher one, but I didn't think Gaige would get that first one either. So Madrid. So if you ever need that on,
I had that conversation before about the longest river.
This one of these might, when you're on a CBS or ABC game show, and 15, 20 years from now, you might remember some of this stuff. Okay, I don't know if you guys play board games, but Gaige, what chess piece on a chessboard can only move diagonally? Diagonally.
I know the horse goes in like an L. Oh, I don't know.
You got to guess. You can't be giving up like Cal here.
Well, then I said the horse is the only one I know.
Okay, wrong.
I think it's a little guy.
What's the little guy?
I don't know what it's called.
Bishop is the answer. The bishop. Okay. Kind of the easier version, they kind of go hand in hand. How many checkers does each person start with? Not how many total on the board, how many does each person start with?
12.
Correct. 12. 1-1.
You had to see that one.
No.
Well, he was I saw his
doing
eyes.
the math.
Okay. Next question. Third questions. Now, I hope you know this, Gaige, being a math teacher myself. How many milligrams make a gram?
What, 100?
Are you kidding me?
Wrong.
It's 1,000.
1,000.
I didn't know that.
Okay. Obviously you didn't. Okay. What's the first letter, Cal, of the Greek alphabet?
Beta.
No, that's the second. Alpha is what? Then next is beta.
Okay,
So 1-1. Okay.
Jeez.
Fourth question. Kind of stay in school here, Gaige. How many bones does an adult human have?
What, 120?
207.
206. Oh, I see who's paying more attention in school here. Still 1-1. Cal, you can take the lead here. What Fahrenheit temperature
Oh.
does water boil at?
212.
212. Cal is up 2-1. Defense is leading the offense right now. Okay, so those first four were kind of just general. Now these last four each are, since this is a sports podcast, these are going to be sports related. Gaige. Last year, or earlier this season, I guess, earlier this year, the Eagles won the Super Bowl. Last year, the Patriots won the Super Bowl. Who won the Super Bowl?
You said that wrong. The other way around.
The Eagles won the Super Bowl this season.
Yeah.
This past season in 2018. 2017, the Patriots won.
Go ahead.
Who won the Super Bowl in 2016?
Oh God. It wasn't like the Patriots.
2016 Super Bowl champions.
The Panthers. No. I don't know. I can't.
Broncos?
Denver Broncos was correct. You were on the right path. They beat the Panthers.
Yeah.
Peyton Manning's final game of his career. So, Cal, you have the chance to break this wide open.
Uh-oh.
Who won the World Series this past season in baseball?
Oh my God. Astros. Houston Astros, right?
Houston Astros.
No, I'm done.
3-1, Cal. Gaige, you have to almost go nearly perfect here. Which male tennis player has won the most Grand
Roger
Slams?
Federer.
Roger Federer is correct.
I'm a tennis player, so I know.
Okay, Cal, I know you're a wrestler, but this is a basketball question. How many titles did Michael Jordan win just with the Bulls?
Oh.
6?
Correct.
I would guess that too.
Yes, I know.
Gaige, this is a two-part question. You can get 2 points. Who's the only team in NFL history to go undefeated and win the Super Bowl, and in what year did they do it?
I feel like it's the Miami Dolphins.
Okay, I'll give you the point. What year?
Oh.
I didn't tell you that.
82.
Not 1972.
Well,
So you had the 2 right, just the wrong decade. Okay. What boxer, Cal, this is also a 2-part question. What boxer gave Muhammad Ali his first ever professional loss, and in what year did it take place?
Oh, I actually know this,
Well, then say it.
but I don't know it. That's the problem.
Under pressure. What boxer and what year? The great Muhammad Ali.
I can't tell you. I can tell you right now. No.
What do you want to guess the year?
1971.
1971 is correct.
No
So you
way.
got a point. It was Joe Frazier in
I knew that.
1971. Wow.
I know
Yeah,
that.
but-
So,
Wait, so he beat Frazier and then Frazier beat him?
yes. Okay,
And goes Frazier.
now,
What?
the last question.
Matters, but
You're going to each get, these are the last 2 questions. You're going to get a total of 3 points. If you get this, Gaige, I'm going to give you a pencil and paper. Write down for me the 3 races a horse must win to win the Triple Crown. This is not Cal's question, so you can even talk your way through it. The 3 races for 3 points.
No clue.
3 races is the question to win the Triple Crown.
There's that.
What's the last one?
Greatness or something.
Okay, you got them right, folks. Kentucky Derby, the Belmont Stakes, and the Preakness. So, Gaige, you are now ahead of Cal.
Uh-oh.
By 1.
Uh-oh.
No, I'm not gonna get this because
Cal.
it's a hard question.
You can get 3 points if you get all 4 of these. 2 points if you get 2 of them. Okay? So 3 for all, 2 for 2 of them. So really, as long as you get 2, you're going to beat Gaige by a score of 7-6. Write down for me the 4 majors in golf. The 4 major tournaments in golf.
I should know these, but I don't know any.
The 4 majors in golf. Give you a hint. The final one just recently happened 2 weekends ago.
I don't know if that's a one, but I think it is. But I don't know. That's the only 2 I know.
What's
PGA Tour, is that one or is that like a?
the PGA Tour is what they're on.
Oh, then I have no clue. I've got the Masters, and I don't know.
Give it another.
Dude, I have no clue. I don't even know the Masters.
You know what?
Yeah, I don't know the Masters.
So it's even now.
I'm gonna be fair to Cal. I said you won't get any points unless you got 2 of them. I will count the 1. So, Cal said the Masters, which is correct. PGA Tour's the whole thing, but the PGA Championship's another one.
Oh.
So I'm going to give you credit for that one. You had half of it right, so I'll give you credit for that. I'm not going to give you another full point to put him ahead of Gaige. And the other 2 are the U.S. Open and the tournament that a lot of people call the British Open, which is considered to be the Open. Okay? So, our first ever Difference Podcast trivia winner, have to say it ends in a tie. Gaige Garcia and Cal Haladay, first 2 guests of all time, are the first 2 winners of all time, finishing with a tied score of 6-6. Obviously, we know on the football field that can't happen, but 2 good friends get to end it that way. So, I want to thank everybody for tuning in and listening to the first ever. As I mentioned, we're going to do this every week. I'll bring on new guests, new players each week to the Difference Podcast. And for all of you out there listening, this week, as you know, the Tigers will be right here on Jim Roth Field behind me, taking on local rival, the Bloomsburg Panthers. The Tigers come in ranked #1 in the state. If you can't make the game here at Tiger Stadium, you can always listen in on the Black Diamond Sports Network. Our pregame coverage will start at 6:40 this Friday night. So, thank you, Gaige. Thank you, Cal. This is Dave Fegley on the first ever episode of the Difference Podcast. Goodbye.